Hi, Keith Snyderman here from Reality-Based Fitness. I'm going to be doing a blog video on posture and postural assessment for trainers and therapists, something I haven't seen a lot out there. And the first thing I want to start with is just an analogy by looking at a picture of a door. If we liken this to a human being or an x-ray, something like that, we might be able to see if this door was a little bit off, but in this instance, this door is actually just looks like a normal door. But just by looking at this door, it doesn't really tell us how the door functions. It doesn't tell us whether it's locked, whether it's able to open, how the hinges work. So static tests, and in particular static posture assessments, are very limited in the sense that you don't get an idea of how somebody actually moves. But I think there's still a lot of value to doing them because you can combine them with other information, more functional tests, more movement, mobility tests, and from that you can determine if there needs to be changes to somebody's posture, because there's not a lot of research out there that actually shows that you can change posture significantly. And so what I want to show with some good friends, I've got Patrick Ward here and Brett Contreras, is we're going to go through and we're going to look at how to do a pretty detailed posture assessment, but that's not too long, to give you a nice set of information that you can combine with other tests. Okay, one of the things that's very controversial is there even a perfect posture? Here's an example that is a very common skeletal chart that actually has the plumb line coming right down the center of the body. And as you can see, if it were to do that, it's going to bisect the auditory meatus, or the ear. It's going to go through the axis of the shoulder joint, or the humerus bone. It's going to come down here a little bit anterior to the hip joint, and it's going to come right through the center of the knee and through the ankle. Now obviously that looks pretty stacked up. You're not going to see this on everybody. This isn't necessarily where everybody needs to be, but it's just an ideal in terms of, are you opposing gravity in an economical way? And you could just see if we move off this plumb line, you're going to get increased forces and stress in the joints. But that doesn't necessarily mean that someone's going to have pain. Patrick, we do know that there's not a lot about pain and posture, is that correct? Yep. So there's also not a lot of research in terms of posture and muscle strength. So there's a lot of people out there in books like Kendall and Kendall, Muscles, Testing, and Function, will really promote that if you deviate from this posture, you're pretty much just going to have pain. But there's a lot more to it. So we're going to go over how to do a postural assessment, and I do believe, just my opinion, that if you deviate extremely from this, you probably will set yourself up for more pain. But there's a lot of functional things that also need to kind of happen in order to have pain. And one of the things that gets kind of ignored is sort of the emotional component. So for instance, if Patrick, he's going to be my actor here, he's going to come in front, let's take a side view. If I were going to tell you to just be very, very depressed, or you had a really bum day, he's going to naturally sort of assume a more kyphotic, kind of a slumped posture. If he's going to walk around his day like in this position, he's going to have to tip his head back. So this is starting to look a little bit like the kind of the Yanda upper cross syndrome. He's got this kyphosis here. His cervical spine is flexed down here. It's hyperextended up here. And then if he's going to be really excited, really overjoyed, he just wants something, he's feeling really, really excited, he's going to be a lot more upright. So there's a big emotional component to posture that you always have to take into account. It's not just sort of this static thing. You're also involving a human being. One thing that we also want to look at in general is if he knows he's being observed, he might not be really natural. So when we're doing a postural assessment, we don't necessarily want to say, okay, we're going to observe your posture. We're just going to, see how well stacked up you are, because he doesn't want to fail the test. So he's going to show that he's got a good, what's called an image posture. But if I can get him to take a few steps, if I can talk to him a little bit and just tell him to totally relax, get his mind off, off that he's being evaluated, then he'll go into what's called the residual posture, which is the posture you have when you're not trying to have good posture. And that's more or less what we're trying to figure out when we are doing a postural assessment. And we're going to have Brett Contreras up here in a second. We're going to take a look and go through all the different views for postural assessment.